Hey Drake, you want to do a collab?
Sure.
Cool. Welcome to A Line Through Time, where we take the time to look through your favourite franchises and work out how it all lines up. God, I miss Tenchu. It's an unfortunate victim of what I like to call new child syndrome, where a company finds success with a new franchise and all their attention goes towards that, neglecting their older franchises until they die or get put into a new home. Unreal, Prince of Persia, Legacy of Kain, Freedom Force, this happens way more often than you'd think or hope. I'll explain more later. Tenchu Shadow Assassins, whose Japanese name translates to Stereoscopic Ninja Theatrical Drama Divine Retribution, apparently, was developed by Acquire for the PlayStation in 1998. While originally planned as a sci-fi ninja romp, the final product is set in feudal times instead.
The game was published by Sony in Japan and Activision outside of Japan. The franchise was then purchased by Activision outright. The story follows Rikimaru and Ayame, members of the Azuma ninja clan serving under Lord Goda. They foil the schemes of the evil Lord Mayo, but Rikimaru is lost in a cave-in at the end of the game.
Yeah, I can relate to being buried beneath a ton of dense, valueless material. This plotline, however, would not be followed up on in the next game, 2000's Tenchu 2 Birth of the Stealth Assassins, as this is a prequel. The story focuses on a battle for succession between Lord Goda and his uncle Motohide, as well as a ninja uprising against the samurai.
Along the way, we learn the origin of Rikimaru's scar, as well as his eternal rival, Onikage. It was also the first entry to feature a third playable character, Tatsumaru in this case, which would be the case in multiple future titles.
2003's Tenchu 3 was developed by K2 LLC for the PS2, who would continue to develop the series after Activision took it away from Acquire. Tenchu 3 was titled Tenchu Wrath of Heaven in the West. Tenchu already translates to Divine Punishment, so the game is effectively called Tenchu Tenchu as if it was named by Kizuna Ai.
The game received an enhanced Xbox port in 2004, renamed Return from Darkness. A more fitting title, as the story sees Rikimaru return from his supposed death in the first game. He has a brief excursion into the future where he assassinates a cyborg CEO, which I can only assume is a nod to the original concept of the franchise. As well as Rikimaru and Ayame, we can also play as the doctor/assassin Fujioka Teshu.
The game was published by FromSoftware in Japan, which will be important shortly. There was also a two-part prequel manga released in Monthly Shonen Gangan's April and May 2003 issues named Tenchu 3. We cannot find a single page of this manga, so we have no idea what it's actually about, but it apparently did exist.
There was also a mobile game, Tenchu Ayame's Tale 3D, but it doesn't seem to have a story.
The following year, Activision sold the franchise to FromSoftware, who then turned to Sega to publish the games outside of Japan. The first game under FromSoft was Tenchu Kurenai Fatal Shadows in the West. It takes place during Rikimaru's absence, presumably before the manga. We can't say for sure for previously stated reasons. Ayame teams up with a young kunoichi named Rin to avenge the latter's destroyed village.
Tenchu Shinobi Taisen was released on the PSP in Japan in 2005. It was then released in Europe as Tenchu Time of the Assassins, however Sega refused to release it in North America at all. Pricks. And this title features a whopping 5 playable characters including Rin, Teshu, and Onikage. Teshu's story precedes his appearance in Wrath of Heaven. Rikimaru and Ayame's stories are stated to take place after Wrath of Heaven. Rin knows Rikimaru and her story, placing it after his return in Wrath of Heaven. And Onikage's story takes place after some encounter with Rikimaru, either Wrath of Heaven or Rikimaru's campaign in this game.
Polygon Magic developed April 2006's Nintendo DS release Tenchu Dark Shadow, renamed to Dark Secret in the West. It occurs 2 years after Tenchu 2 but before Tenchu 1. The game overall wasn't well received.
6 months later, Tenchu Disturbance released on the Xbox 360, and apparently this one almost didn't make it outside of Japan at all until Microsoft stepped in to do it themselves as Tenchu Z.
But honestly, are you really surprised the owners of Yakuza were hesitant to localize a franchise for the West? This time you play as a custom character who is an apprentice of Rikimaru. Beyond him and Lord Goda, there are no connections to previous entries. Sure, there's the ubiquitous Echigoya family, but that doesn't really count. It does, however, feature what is objectively the worst way to die in a video game. No enemies in the game can swim, not even the bosses. Therefore, if you take them over to a cesspit, a hole in the ground filled with liquid shit, Next time someone makes a list of the worst ways to die in games, you tell them to shut their stupid face because they don't know true suffering.
After Shadow Assault Tenchu, the plotless puzzle spin-off, Tenchu Shadow Assassins released in October 2008, its original name being Tenchu 4 in Japanese, meaning all those other games after Wrath of Heaven aren't as important as this one, cause now they've decided to go back to numbered installments. Acquire returned to develop the Wii version, while FromSoft themselves worked on the PSP port.
This one narrows the scope to focus on Rikimaru and Ayame going up against a new villain who turns out to be Onikage once again. Despite the true ending's cliffhanger of Onikage possessing Ayame, which is yet to be followed up on, we're going to place this one before Tenchu Z since it continues the ongoing story and potentially explains why Ayame isn't around in Z, as depressing as that is. And aside from a 2014 stage play, that's it for the series, sadly. FromSoft released Demon's Souls in 2009 and became a Soulsborne factory from that point on. Now you see what I was talking about earlier. Souls came out and everyone was so impressed by it that Tenchu ended up neglected and forgotten.
There may be hope though. Many are speculating that FromSoft's upcoming Shadows Die Twice project could be a revival of Tenchu. Shadows Die Twice is a phrase used in Tenchu 3, and the text in the background is apparently iconic quotes from the series. So it's possible, but let's try to keep our expectations low, just in case.
But let's put that aside for now and discuss other things we don't know for sure. As far as I can tell, there are no definitive dates for the game, sadly. We've seen a few cited on wikis, but without sources. Tenchu 2 is set 7 years before 1, according to the ending text. Dark Secret is 2 years after 2. Wrath of Heaven is a year after 1. Aside from that, I've got nothing. All we can really say is that the series seems to occur sometime around the 1570s. Hopefully, any future material will be a little more clear on that.
So without any further ado, the Tenchu timeline goes a little something like this.
During the battle for succession of the Goda clan, Lady Kagami of the Nyogetsu Ninja forms the Burning Dawn movement to overthrow the ruling samurai. The group's leaders are dispatched by Rikimaru and Ayame of the Azuma Ninja clan, and Goda Matsunoshin becomes the new clan head. Suzaku of the Burning Dawn returns from the dead in the form of Onikage. Rikimaru and Ayame travel to the village of Saiga, where they protect Princess Shizu from her husband Kagemasa's attempts to revive the Demon Lord through their unborn child. The two kill Kagemasa, saving Shizu and the child. Onikage assists Lord Meo in his arrival on Earth and abducts Lord Goda's daughter, Kiku. Rikimaru and Ayame save Kiku and slay both villains. Ayame and Kiku escape the collapsing caves while Rikimaru is trapped inside. Hagakure village is destroyed by the Kuroya assassin group. The sole survivor, Rin, teams up with Ayame to hunt down the Kuroya and their leader, Juzo. Fujioka Teshu comes into conflict with the Jinnai brothers. Onikage returns in the service of the sorcerer, Tenrai. After an excursion to the 20th century, Rikimaru returns to join Ayame and Teshu in defeating Onikage and Tenrai. Rikimaru, Ayame and Rin have encounters with the still living Onikage. Amid rumours of treason, Princess Kiku is abducted. Goda Castle is set ablaze by Onikage, whose defeat comes at the cost of Kiku's life. Onikage uses the darkness born in Ayame's heart to take possession of her body. As war with Ogawara looms, Rikimaru begins training new recruits for the Azuma, Kagemaru and Shinobu. They repeatedly encounter a rival ninja named Chigi, who captures and tortures one of the ninja to death and assassinates his master Ogawara Nagayori before burning the castle and disappearing into the flames. That's two different, inconclusive endings set in burning castles they've left us with. What is with this franchise? God, I hope Shadows Die Twice is Tenchu related and not more bloody souls. Oh well. Thanks for helping out on this one, Drake.
No problem. We should do this again sometime.
Absolutely yes. Even if the viewers don't like it, I don't care. Nothing is going to stop us from collaborating again.
Hey Snake, since this series was developed by FromSoft, does that mean that Tenchu is the Dark Souls of stealth games? I'm
never working with you again. If you liked this video, why not subscribe and check out some of Drake's videos? If not, then make sure to check out Drake's stuff anyway so you can watch at least one good video today.